Question 30, part A, relates to the types of training. For section 1, for 3 marks, you had to select a type of training and then state what activities are often used in this type of training. So let's look at the key term being what, which is asking you to identify the activities used in the type of training. Now, type of training is the actual area of the syllabus we're looking at. And there is a number of different types of training, 5 in fact, according to our syllabus. So if we have a look here, we've got strength training involving resistance training, weight training, isometric training. We've got aerobic training involving continuous fartlek and long interval training. We have anaerobic training involving developing power through resistance or weight training, plyometrics and short interval. There's flexibility training, which involves static, dynamic and ballistic. And lastly, skill training, which involves drills practice, modified and small-sided games, and games for specific outcomes. So those are your 5 types of training that you could possibly have identified. So obviously you need to have chosen one of those types of training. Just for the record, circuit training is not a type of training, and it is not even mentioned specifically as any of the sub-dot points underneath training. If it was going to be under one, it would be under aerobic training. But it is not mentioned. So some of you boys answered using circuit training as your example of a type of training. That is incorrect. And you can clearly see here in the syllabus that it is not mentioned there at all. So if you did that, you would not have gained the full marks, if any at all. Just having a look at the marking criteria for this particular question. You need to identify either strength, anaerobic, flexibility, skill, training, or aerobic training, and identify a range of relevant activities that are used in the selected type of training. Now, the relevant activities are actually the 3 sub-dot points mentioned under each of the types of training in the syllabus. They are not, for example, if you chose aerobic, they are not swimming, jogging, running, that sort of thing, cycling. It is continuous, fartlek and long interval because, as we saw in the syllabus, that is actually what the syllabus says are the activities involved in that particular type of training. So just having a look at a bit of a sample answer, remember, we look at the key term, and what's the key term asking you to do? The key term is saying you need to name the syllabus headings of the type of training you have chosen. So let's say you chose aerobic training. The activities used are continuous/uniform, fartlek and long interval. It wouldn't hurt if you wrote 1 or 2 sentences about each of these things, even though the question is what. Just putting 1 or 2 sentences there just covers all bases, just in case they mark a little bit harder in the HSC. As we saw in the syllabus, the other types of training include strength, anaerobic, flexibility and skill training. So if you chose one of those other 4, then you would have needed to have here the 3 particular activities or 3 specific activities outlined in the syllabus to gain the full 3 marks for this question.